Or is that
We're
just
not
the?
rezoning every property, but we're rezoning most properties that are M1 manufacturing and C4
Could get in.
that same use wouldn't be able to come back in.
Okay, I gotcha. Hi, Tony. How are you guys doing?
Good yourself.
Good, 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 good. Busy as
hosting the cross country.
Oh,
Friday night.
oh, she's got. Oh, that's right. They had big buckets of things of water.
Yeah.
Hour later, they still weren't like totally boiling.
Oh.
So, oh, is that what they did this time?
Yeah.
I was like one of the cooks,
Sure.
cooking all the stuff up and stuff.
Yeah,
So
that's a lot of work.
yeah.
Everybody's work schedules in the middle of the week with this. I think it was the easiest option.
There you go.
West Dallas Wednesday today, which I usually can't do. Mayor gets crap when he wears jeans. All right, we're all here. Let's 6:02. We'll call the Plan Commission to order. Good evening, everybody. I will ask staff to either record or take a quick roll call.
Mary Vine,
Here.
Brian Frank,
Here.
Kathleen Dagenhart.
Here.
Lassie Menka.
Here.
Eric Torkelson.
Here.
Wayne Clark.
Yes.
Jessica Katzenmeyer.
Here.
Amanda Nowak.
Here.
David Hirsch.
Here. All right. We have a quorum. Thanks, everybody. We'll move on to item C, which will be the approval of the minutes from our meeting on July 28th.
For approval.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion, there's a second. Were there any changes to the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed to approving the minutes? All right, minutes are approved. And we will move on to item D, 2A and 2B, and I will turn it over to staff.
Thank you, Mayor. This first item is for the West Dallas Center for Early Education. Keisha Jefferson and Cos from Cos Architecture are here today. So this is a proposed daycare center which will be on the west side of the existing multi-tenant commercial building located at 11112 West National Avenue. This is within the C4 Regional Commercial District, and daycare facilities are a special use pretty much every district except for C1 in our downtown, which they're outright permitted there. The public hearing will be on September 2nd next week. Previous use, you might know this as the Focali restaurant. Focali. So the daycare center is proposing to provide education for children 6 weeks to 12 years of age. Capacity of the space is 90 children with 15 staff, and they plan to open on November 1st. Hours of operation are 6 a.m. to 10:30 p.m. Monday through Friday, and 8 to 4 Saturday and Sunday. And this is a sneak peek at what their signage might look like. We're still working out what it's going to look like. So taking a look at their site plan, they plan to occupy 2 tenant spaces for a combined total of 5,700 square feet. They're going to have 2 children's play areas, so one here, and then the other one in the back of the building, for a combined 2,254 square feet. Each one will be surrounded by a 3-foot high decorative vinyl fence. Staff has recommended that they add a strip of landscaping and boulders to the west play yard, and also to remove the parking behind just to make it as safe as possible for the kids playing in there. The southern yard will have an ADA room leading to an infant room door per state code for daycares. And the refuse enclosure, which we can't see here, the fence has just been in disrepair, and they're going to be repairing that as well. The owner, by the way, Andy, the owner of the property, said that the west parking lot will be resealed next summer, and they're also planning to repaint the facades of the other tenant spaces. Taking a look at their landscaping plan, they're planning to remove some landscaping existing landscaping from the south play yard to make space for the kids to play. And staff believes that the property is adequately landscaped along West National Avenue and within the parking lot. Not seen here, but there's a couple of medians in here that are landscaped. And there's some existing trees and shrubs that will screen from the neighbors to the west. And like I said before, we've asked them to include a strip of landscaping and boulders to surround the play area, which they've agreed to. In terms of their architectural plan, they're planning to remove the awnings under the overhanging roof and also removing the neon lights on the top of the building. And the EFIS panels will be repaired and repainted a cream and sugar color, which looks similar to what's in this rendering here. So with that, staff recommends approval subject to the removal of the parking stalls behind the children's play area, including a landscape barrier around the new outdoor children's play area. And we also would like them to reevaluate the quantity of ADA stalls needed for the entire property. And they've included the color details of the repaint, and we'd also like them to indicate that the fencing and the refuse enclosure will be repaired or replaced. It's also conditional on their special use being approved by Common Council, and we're working with them on their sign permit. And of course, we want them to make sure that any city sidewalks that are damaged or defective are replaced. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions?
I have a question. I noticed on the backyard, the back play area, that door goes into the open out there. What kind of door is that? Is there some security measures to prevent the children from escaping, so to speak?
No, kids can run out. That area is, it's accessible to both the staff and to the kids to access that play area. If you would put that site plan back up, Tony, the staff would be parking along the western parking lot, and the door on that west side, which serviced the kitchen previously, is ingress and egress for staff, and then also to allow the kids to get into the play area. So when we're taking kids in and out of the space, they would of course be supervised, and then directly from that door, if they turn immediately to the left, they'll enter into the gated area for the play area. And that particular parking lot not being heavily trafficked, I understand your concern for the, if our kid's gonna run out into a heavily trafficked area. I can't imagine that they would do that, and to put a secondary gate, a dual gate through there, might be a little bit of a hassle. The other thing that keeping that back area open does, it allows us then to conjoin the space that's immediately to the north, the other 20-foot space that we're picking up from the other former, what was it, the Red Apple Children's Center or something? Both, there you go. Both of those spaces then can access the play yard on the west from the rear doors, if you will. And then their staff, of course, can come in and out.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
You had mentioned staff recommended that they remove the parking stalls along that side. Is it an option that they could essentially close off that drive lane? I mean, through the use of boulders or something, or that it wouldn't even be an issue? That, you know, I can't imagine they need that for flow through the site. I don't know if that's something that you would consider.
Unfortunately, we need to keep a driveway open. If you pan back or go to an aerial of the site, the trash enclosure, which is in the very back of the site, it's at the kind of the top of that. We need at least a 16-foot drive out for a truck to get in there, pick and turn. If we were to come in where they errantly placed the island that's closest to the street, so it would not allow a turning movement for a truck coming in.
Yep.
Otherwise, we could have maneuvered around there, and that would have been a great idea to just expand the play yard horizontally. It would have been perfect, but
Okay, I got
it didn't work out real well.
Go ahead.
Staying with the same, thank you, staying with the same picture, where is the proposed play area?
So there's one on the southern end of the building, which is currently landscaped, and then there will be a new one built off of the back of the building on the western side. I'll show you the site plan.
All right, thank you.
Okay. So if you follow my cursor, it's this enclosed area here.
That's a play area?
Yes.
Mhm.
Toddlers.
And then this shaded area back here, this rectangle.
And the distance from that play area to National Avenue is how many feet?
80,
Yeah.
80?
yep. You gotta traverse a 24-foot drive aisle, a landscape strip, public sidewalk, the right-of-way, and then get to the curb on National. Quite a ways.
Right. And it's obviously fenced in, right?
Oh, and yes,
Yeah.
and that yard will be fenced in, yes.
I just didn't see the markings on the drawing, but I assume that's, what you're gonna do.
The adventurous kids like climbing out of their playpen could climb over the top of the fence. Hopefully they can do that.
Are the
Move
kids always
approval.
supervised when they're outside?
Yes.
We had a motion to approve
Second.
in a second. Any other questions on the motion? All in favor, please say aye.
Hi.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye. Motion carries.
Thank you for your questions, everyone.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're done.
You're all done. Till the next round. Move on to items 3A and 3B. Are you taking everything tonight?
No,
Or
Steve is actually taking this one. Steve, can
Okay.
you hear us?
Oh, he's here.
We can't hear you.
Hear me? Okay, one
There you
second.
are. Now we can.
Wow.
All right. Good. Hi, everybody.
All right, Steve.
So our
What are you doing, Steve?
the next item here is for the bake sale. Bake sale is located at 6923 Beecher Street, and it's currently you can see the picture in the upper right corner of your screen. That's what it looked like less than a year ago, and it was a small office, and it's changed quite a bit over the past several months. I think the next slide shows a current picture of the front facade and from Beecher Street, and there it is. It's been repainted, new awnings, new storefront windows, new doorway, and it's a small building, about 900 square feet, which serves as a retail cafe. So their website, as their website indicates, it's the best bakery and products from around the Milwaukee area for sale here at this location. What the proposed kitchen addition will do for this site is basically allow the bake sale to produce food on site, the baked goods, cupcakes, cakes for their business and to meet customer demands, and they also have a rising catering business. So it'll allow them a lot more function from this location, as well as space for both storage of goods and preparation area, as well as the actual baking process. The property is zoned C2, neighborhood commercial, and it does require limited food production is considered a special use within the zoning district. So public hearing will be set for September 7th, right after the Labor Day holiday. The next slide shows basically some of the operations, indicating again sort of the retail shop plus the kitchen. The hours aren't really going to change. The existing use allowance that is provided for the site is from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. daily. There's some limited seating within the building for about 5 tables or so. And there's actually 2 small tables outside in front of the building. And then the new kitchen will allow for baking. Next slide, please. No, that's just the general floor plan. So the darker blue shade is the existing shop, and then the proposed area behind for the kitchen addition. And next. So here's the site and landscaping plans. Sort of the summary, the total building with the addition would be about 2,300 square feet. And the existing cooler on the left-hand side is the existing site, and you can see the darker shaded, that's the existing cooler and a shed with, and then also parking behind the building, about 4 parking stalls. With the new addition, all of that area, the existing cooler and parking area, would be encompassed by the new addition. So the site will go from a small backyard to a 1,700 square foot addition on the back. There will be 1 remaining parking stall behind the building in the area on the very south end of the site. There is space to pull in 1 car, perhaps for the manager or a store employee. And there will also be a 4-sided refuse enclosure on the southwest corner of the site, accessible from that parking stall. The shop will have refuse pickup 3 times per week during the morning. And so as you can see here, the parking, though, required for the existing shop plus the addition is for about 7 parking stalls per our current ordinance, and 1 will be provided on site. Now, the Common Council does have the ability to modify the parking requirement because it is a special use, as do they the ability to modify setback requirements. And they're, with the building as shown here, there's typically a 10-foot setback on the west side yard, or in this case on the left-hand side of that proposed site plan. There's typically about a 10-foot setback required because there is a single-family residential house to the west. So, and what the zoning code says in the C2 district is that you have at least you can have a 0 setback, but if there's a residential development or a zoning district next door, then it should be a 10-foot setback. So with this proposal that's going before Common Council, the applicant is also asking for a variance on the west side yard. Next slide, Tony. And this is the actual area on the west side of the building. And there is a screening fence, a 6-foot-high wood fence, and there would still be some grass in the side yard area for screening. And then I think the next slide, we get into architectural. The new addition is really not going to be, it's not going to feature really any windows. I think next slide, there we go. There will be 2 access doors on the west side of the building. And then on the east side of the building, there would be 2 access doors. So that's for when there's deliveries, the truck would typically pull up on Beecher Street, and then offloading could take place from Beecher Street, then rolling up supplies to one of these 2 side doors from the alley. And on the west side of the building, you can see again just a cement masonry unit block building on the west. And the rear of the building, the south elevation on the next slide, is just, again, painted CMU, cement masonry block. So the next, I guess the last slide is that we've published, as with any public hearing, any special use that goes before council, we publish a Class 2 notice, and then the property owners within 200 feet are notified of the public hearing. We haven't received any objections to date, and we're recommending approval. In your staff report on page, I think it's page 4, well, I guess that's what I'm looking at here. Our recommendation includes 2 items right now. There's a set of revised plans. There's an A and a B. 1A is a permit application being made for an ADA, or handicapped accessible street parking stall along Beecher Street. The applicant, Mark Lutz, has submitted that application to the engineering department. We felt with the loss of parking behind the building, it's important to provide at least 1 handicapped or ADA accessible parking stall in Beecher. That can be done with a permit through our engineering department. And then part 1B is an updated floor plan. That has been provided. So we're satisfied with condition 1 being taken care of. Item 2 is the county council approval, and that will take place on September 7th. So if there's any questions, happy to answer.
Thank you, Steve. Any questions, Wayne?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Steve, given the variance on the setback that's being requested, and even though you've sent out letters to neighbors within so many 100 feet, has anyone talked to the neighbor who's impacted most directly by this setback change?
I have not, and it's a good point. I will. I can reach out to them and just make them aware if they haven't looked at their mail. I can follow up with them directly in advance of the hearing.
And back up one slide, please. Where is the setback being requested, the variance? Which side of that red car?
So it'll be in front of that red car is the cooler, the existing cooler. So it'll be on the opposite side of that cooler. You can see the gabled roof of the house to the west.
Yes.
This is that's between that house and the cooler is where the setback is being requested. Variance.
Doing it's coming up there on the bottom quarter.
There we go.
That's
Yeah,
on
that
the bottom
right.
corner there.
That's what it looks like. That's standing on the sidewalk on Beecher Street looking south. And the residential property is to the right behind that fence. And then the bake sale property, retail shop is on your left. And you can see a little bit of the cooler behind that.
Have the older people in this district had any comments?
No, not to my knowledge. At least they haven't contacted me if they do.
Where's the refuse enclosure?
With all of these proposals, what we do is we send them out for a technical review, and the alderpersons, mayor, alderpersons, and all the various departments in City Hall are notified that someone's made an application, and there's usually a link to the set of plans so that everyone can provide their feedback or share their concerns with each and every proposal that you guys are looking at tonight.
Thank you. Move approval.
I'll second that.
Thank you.
Sorry, you're going to ask a question?
No, I was looking at your
Oh,
sheet.
Okay.
I didn't see the refuse.
Got a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion?
thank you.
Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Chair votes aye. The ayes have it, and the motion carries. Move on to item 5.
Is it 4?
4.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor.
Wendy's, sorry.
This next item is for Wendy's, located right next to Festival Foods on West Greenfield Avenue. I believe it's 10933 West Greenfield Avenue. They are proposing a refresh to their branding, and not just their branding, but the upkeep and scheduled upkeep of their interior and exterior of the building. This is within the C3 community commercial districts, and restaurants are special use in C3, and Wendy's received their special use way back in 1984. They've had several owners since then. I believe one of the owners was a Bucks player, actually. I forget his name though. Junior Bridgman. Yes, thank you. Here's a look at their floor plan. So most of their improvements are focused on customer-facing portions of the restaurant, so the dining area, and then the restaurants, the restrooms will be entirely renovated. Floor retiled, they're getting a new counter, a new point of sale system. And originally they hadn't proposed much for the site and landscaping plan, but planning staff believes that much more could have been done. So just based on the Highway 100 corridor plan, which calls for walkability and connectivity between sites, we thought that more could be done there, as well as Festival Foods, which has proposed to improve much of the walkability of their parking lot, which is set to happen next year. So per staff recommendations, that they've been working really well with us and have agreed to add the connecting crosswalk to Festival Foods once their own construction is complete. Though I do recommend just getting in touch with the Festival Foods architect and their construction team over there just to coordinate that, so that we can figure out who's actually gonna, how they're gonna connect and who's actually gonna put the crosswalk in. We've also recommended, and they will be including shrubs and perennials along the west side of the building. Crosswalk. Here's the shrubs and perennials. And we've also asked for a metal railing on the north curb ramp, just to match the one on the southern curb ramp. And most importantly, we've asked for, they are overparked, so we've asked for them to give up some parking spaces in exchange for some green space. And they've agreed to replace 2 parking stalls with a couple of medians just to break up the parking along the east side of the property. And here's a look at the Festival Foods plans. So they have their walkway. Here's their walkway from their store to the parking lane, and that then would connect to the Wendy's via that crosswalk. And then here's a look of what it looks like on the ground. So the walkway would go from this curb island across to the Wendy's. And here's a space where the landscaping would go, because there's about 5 feet from the property line to the curb. Taking a look at their architectural plan, they are proposing to remove the curved fascia on the east facade, the main entrance, or the front of the building.
North facade.
Is it the north facade?
It's the front facing Greenfield.
Thank you. And replacing the curved fascia with corrugated metal panels over the solarium. And so I guess the east and west sides
Right.
then would be repainted with Wendy's branded colors. And this is a good look of a similar building with a solarium where you have replaced the curved fascia with the corrugated metal panels. So this is pretty much exactly what it would look like. And they will also be adding a canopy over the drive-through, over the pay window, and then this window will be tinted because it's right in front of the soda machine, so we don't really need to see the back of that soda machine. And with that, staff recommends approval subject to the pedestrian connection to Festival Foods, adding the shrubs and/or perennials along the west side of the building, and a reduction in parking stalls in exchange for added landscaping. Also, the railing repair replacement, and we'd also like to see a schedule for implementing these recommendations, and an estimated cost of landscaping and screening, and then finally a surety bond. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Rossi?
So no double lanes for drive-through?
Double lanes for
No.
drive-through.
Is there not enough space?
Yeah, it'd be pretty tight, especially with
Yeah.
the landscaping.
Sure.
Yeah.
Are you gonna stay open during this remodeling, or are you gonna be closed for a while?
It'll be open.
Okay, thank you.
One thing with the landscaping though, we're getting costs back for all the landscaping, including the 2 spots, probably. Have you been working with James?
Yes.
So, a few things. The cost is like $49,000 to do the landscaping. And I got a plat of survey. Their property only goes out 4 feet from the building. And this is proposed at 5 feet from the curb, so that's like 6 feet from the building. So I don't know, that could be a problem. And it's just a disaster because the first thing they do when they do the street is put salt down. And then when they plow, it's just gonna go right in those beds. And then we're gonna be getting orders to fix it every spring. It seems like kind of I don't know. They're probably not the best at re-landscaping every spring. It's probably gonna be an eyesore. I don't know, is there feedback on that or how to?
I just know that a lot of other projects that include landscaping, they time out when they initially plant their landscaping and then pick the right types of shrubs and perennials, and also coordinate with our forester who's really good at picking out those types of species.
Salt resistant or?
Yes.
Yeah.
If that's an issue, could we potentially move it to those north parking stalls up there? That might beautify West Greenfield. Just a
They
thought.
were thinking maybe adding, you have 2 on that side, maybe add a 3rd one and try to cut that out on the left side. And then if you, does that picture go down farther?
It doesn't actually cut it off
So
just
that
to show.
landscape on the bottom right, close to the dumpsters, it's kind of skinny, but it comes down and it circles around and there's an island there. It just looks horrible. that can all be redone real nice and give it a great appearance, because there's more room there. And obviously, there won't be piles of snow pushed up and other things. And it's, I don't know, it's pretty visible. It's a bigger area. Like Festival, they have like 2 trees and 2 1-foot pieces of grass. It's kind of plain. I think you can get a better look there than something that we don't even know how long it's gonna last. I mean, I went to school for horticulture. It's tough with the salt and the snow piling up on there. You know, you can do perennials, like a spirea or something like that. It'll come up new every year, but once the snow and the salt get in there. And that's pretty far out too. That's
Yeah,
like in
maintenance
the-
is always
it's
key
way
with
out into the
anything,
lane.
no matter
Driving.
where you are.
I'm sorry, Steve, can you say that again?
I was just gonna say, maintenance is part of the game. You know, no matter where you are, whether it be Arizona or Wisconsin. So it's part of business.
Wayne?
On that, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Steve, on that same point, I think the applicant does make a good point about the fact that we ask for plantings, and then frequently, or oftentimes, in the winter, because of the salting, they get destroyed. And if your point is that that's just the cost of doing business, you got to go and replant them every year. That's part of the reason we run into problems where some of these beautiful areas that get destroyed, the applicant doesn't take care of it. And I think there's got to be a better answer to how we manage our plantings and our requirements and how this should be handled.
Be happy to work with our city forester on perhaps an appropriate type of species. You know, I think if there is 4 feet of area, I know we've planted things in narrower spaces, for instance, 92nd and Lincoln with Cousins. There's a narrow strip of perennial grasses, Carl Forester grasses, or the substation, the We Energy substation, between the alley and the substation wall on the north side of that substation wall. Again, Carl Forester grasses or some other kind of perennial grasses, a mixture have been installed there, I think with some success. And sure, I'm sure there's some die-off, even in my residential setting here at home. I mean, some things don't last forever, so it's just a matter of replenishing as needed, and I think something could work. I mean, if you look at the situation right now, and I mean, I know Wendy's is well intending, you know, significant investment here to reimage their building, and you know, they've been working with us, and I applaud them for that. But I mean, I think that west side of the building, it's unfortunate that there's only 4 feet of area. But I think it's still something that's usable. Something could be placed there. Maybe it's a raised planter, something that's raised up a little bit from the otherwise, you know, flat surface that would maybe protect it some more from salt drainage and those types of things. You know, the harsh conditions of winter. So I think there's something you could do there. And I'd be happy to work it out with Wendy's, perhaps our city forester, and maybe see if we can maybe come up with something that works, that makes sense. I mean, if it doesn't, well, you know, then we can think of something else. But I guess I just don't want to discount it for the time being. I think as you come into that site or as you're leaving that site, it's just such a harsh edge on that west side of that building that I think it's important to do something, even if it's only 4 feet wide.
Well, with your commitment to work with the applicant and forestry, I think that's the right direction. I'm thinking back to the corner of Highway 100 and Lincoln, Wisconsin Vision, for when I were Martinizing, how oftentimes that corner, they would put plants in and they would be destroyed the next year, and finally they just gave up putting in plants. If you go up the street a little ways where Sammy's was, he just stopped even trying to pretend to fix that corner. And that's my concern when applicants eventually say, I'm not going to do this anymore. then it looks terrible. And I think that the idea of working with the forestry of Steve and maybe coming up with species that like salt, if there is such a thing. But thank you for that offer.
Well, and I know this is the least scientific offering I could possibly make, but I did just put in a Google search of salt-tolerant plants, and there is a list, including the grasses you just mentioned, Steve, the Carl Forster, but it says they will survive in road salt-laced soil, and it's a savvy gardening website. So I think there are some things out there that, like you laid out, working with the city forestry department, we might be able to find some stuff that would survive
approval.
there.
The biggest thing is the cost.
I'm sorry.
The biggest thing, their problem is the cost. They did a lot of extra things on the inside, and they are doing some on the outside, and then they have to do the spots on the other side of the building, the east side for sure. And they were gonna think maybe we can redo the existing landscape, which is more square foot than what we're adding. It's a bigger space to make it look nice, and it is on the way out also, as Steve was mentioning.
Sure.
So, it's the cost. They have so many restaurants, they need to get so many done this year, so many done next year. The ones that they can't do, they don't do, I would like to do the outside. I make money,
Sure.
but that's probably the biggest hurdle, is it's costing more for the landscaping than it is in the front of the building that they're doing, with the red corrugated.
And then, okay. And, I mean, staff can work with you and as was offered and try to, like you alluded to, I think you made a motion, Wayne,
Yes.
to approve. Is there a second? Brian? Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? I will vote aye. The ayes have it and the motion carries. And move on to item 5. I think the address is wrong on that. 2200 West Lincoln is going to put us on the south side of Milwaukee.
Yeah. So, so you recall we saw Wisconsin Vision come through here in March, and we approved their site landscape and architectural plan with the following improvements: the removal of the former dry cleaning drive-up canopy, new landscaping, closure of one of the driveways on Highway 100, and removal of the 1-hour Martinizing pole sign. And they would like to replace that sign with a monument sign. So this is getting a little bit technical, but the proposed monument sign is located within the 20 by 20 foot vision triangle, which in our code is measured from the property line. So this is where the monument sign is. This is what it will look like. And this is a look at what our vision triangle is. So we measure from the property line, but the property line here is set back about, I forget, maybe 10 feet, or maybe 18 feet, thank you, from the sidewalk. And this actually belongs to Wisconsin DOT, this section here. And we did check with our city engineers, and they've confirmed that the vision triangle, the sign being in the vision triangle will not affect traffic. It's not going to be a barrier to visibility for pedestrians and motorists. So just taking another look here, if you're a motorist approaching this right turn here, you're looking left to see if there's any traffic coming. You really don't need to be looking right because the traffic, there's a median and then this traffic is going south. I guess you need to be looking for any pedestrians here, but really you're far enough out to be able to see them, far enough past the sign to be able to see them.
So where will the sign be located with this picture? Right there?
Right about here.
Okay, it's in there.
We'll pull out halfway anyways.
Tell me, while you're on this slide, one of these curb cuts is going away also on Highway 100, correct? Or
It's being modified, but it's not going away.
okay,
Personally, I would like it to go away, but
okay.
square it off, but they're keeping it.
I'm sorry, what's not going away?
This right turn lane,
Oh, yes, okay. Thank you.
Staff,
No, but on there, the site themselves, don't they have 2 access points to High 100 and one is being closed off?
that's right, so
From our
there's a
previous
driveway
approval?
right about here and one right about here. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is the one that's getting closed and.
No, that one's, because it's farther down Highway 100.
So the one.
It's the one right on the corner of Lincoln and,
Okay.
Lincoln Highway 100, and then there's another one on Lincoln to get in.
No, my point with that was
There's two in and outs.
There's-
There used to be
there's-
3.
if you were worried about looking for traffic coming out, that it's gonna be further down Highway 100, so that was just what I was trying to.
Any other questions?
You know, I think, excuse me, Mr. Mayor, I think this is the right direction, getting a monument sign, getting that pole sign down. But I have such an affinity for that pole sign, because 30 years ago, on 6 different occasions, when they used to put Customer of the Month up there, I was Customer of the Month.
So are you requesting possession of it for your home, or
Put it in his driveway.
it'll be on our plan commission next month for
Okay,
Wayne's sign permit?
thank you. I'll move over.
Being a neighbor, I would have to speak on that.
Thank
The
you.
sign.
What's that?
The original owner?
Yeah.
Modernizing? Yeah. I've dealt with property for 40 years now. I've never had one want their sign back. He wanted that sign. I'm like, where is he gonna put this monster sign? Yeah, he wanted that sign.
Great. We had a motion to approve. Second. And a second. Any other discussion on the motion?
Wayne, congratulations on that.
Customer of the month.
Thank you. Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll move on to item 6, a public information meeting.
Yeah, so this is a discussion item, just to say that for our Highway 100 rezoning, Steve and I met with the property, well, we sent out a notice to the property owners that would be affected by this to come and meet us and ask any questions that they might have on August 18th, so about a week ago. And Steve and I were in here in this room and we had one person show up. She asked lots of questions. The property at Con Oklahoma near Highway 100, and it's an office building, so we were there to help her out with all of her questions. But we haven't really heard from anybody. We did reach out to some people that we thought might have some issues with this, like the car wash owner and the former Chrysler dealership with that big piece of land behind. So we haven't heard anything, any complaints about that. So we'll be reaching out and sending a notice and again another invitation to ask questions to the northern half of Highway 100. So from Greenfield down to about Cleveland.
Okay. Questions? Okay. Then we'll move on to the updates under number 7.
This is just to show that the projects that you see on this list have been completed. So Festival Foods, Aspen Dental, UHS, Miners Office Building, Gage Wrestling Taco, which has their grand opening tomorrow.
Friday.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice.
Time's that, by the way?
People are in there.
11:30. I
Is it 11:30?
think it's 11:30. Yeah, they're gonna have some appetizers out, and then
Yeah.
I
everybody
might be
can.
able to make that.
And then Piece of Love and Pete's Pops.
Questions on those? Anyone? All right. And we'll.
So moved.
Do you have a question?
So I just called and later on that.
We can just talk to you. We're gonna adjourn right now, and then you guys can chat. Yeah. We had a motion to adjourn by Wayne and a second by Brian. Is there discussion or objection to adjourning?
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we are adjourned.